What's going on, you guys? It's Cody. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about Tesla. The S&P 500 inclusion is coming up very quickly. Today, at the time of recording, it is Thursday, and the inclusion is supposed to happen Monday as we go into Monday's trading session. So I want to share some of my thoughts about Tesla, where I think it might go. This is kind of just a prediction. This is kind of just my a continuation of my thoughts and kind of where I see this potential stock price going over the next couple of days. Because we've seen so much volatility, it's really tough to predict. There's a lot of people out there who are a lot smarter than me, doing the same analysis saying, hey, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? How much will it go up? Will we see a pullback? Is it going to continue to stay strong? How are things going to be affected when, full self-driving gets released to more people? How's it going to be affected when, with battery improvements? How's it going to be affected with Q4 deliveries for 2020? There's so many different things that could affect this company and the share price overall. And so I just kind of wanted to put my thoughts onto paper, per se, more so onto this video, just to kind of share some thoughts with you as to what I'm doing, how I plan to kind of play this, and how I plan to kind of go moving forward. Now, full disclosure, I do own Tesla shares, and I do have a call option on Tesla as well that is set to expire next week. So just keep that in mind as we go through this video. So first off, I want to talk about the actual share price and where that's at currently. So let's take a look over here at Webull and take a look at what this share price has been doing over the last little bit. You can see that on November 16th, the couple days before that, it was trading mostly flat. It was kind of down. I was in this position at this time where I was thinking, hey, if it dips under 400, I'm going to pick up another couple of shares. I'm going to go a little bit heavier into this. And, I was kind of waiting for it to go down. It was kind of on this little down streak right here. I was waiting for it to dip under 400. I don't know. That was kind of just an arbitrary number in my head. I just wanted to get, more shares under that 400 mark. And sure enough, after hours that day, it was announced they'd be included to the S&P 500, and the share price shot up. I think they were up almost like 10% in after hours, and it just continued to climb from there. I mean, up, within 2 days, up to 485. A little bit of a stutter here, not much growth, and then just a steady climb here, a little flat, steady climb, little flat, little climb. And here we are today, made it up to $655 from opening around $623. So massive gains in the share price. And I think everybody's wondering, hey, how high is this going to go? And when do I actually, sell out of this company? Is this something that I should sell out of and try to buy back in later? What's the actual long-term potential of Tesla and the Tesla stock? So when I look at this, I'm thinking, how far could this, what could this company actually be possible of in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years? And honestly, I think that Tesla, much like many other bulls in the Tesla world, I do think that Tesla has some life-changing technology. Everybody's looking at the fact that, hey, they make EV cars. They're just another car manufacturer. They just make they just make electric vehicles. And I think everybody's kind of missing the point when it comes to that. Yes, they do make electric vehicles, but the power of what they have in their system is that the fact that they've got the full self-driving. That's really where this technology is at, because that's what's going to open up robo-taxis. That's what's going to open up semi-trucks. That's what's going to open up transportation. I mean, if you really look at that, that's really where the technology's at, is in their software, their tech, and the full self-driving. When you look at it this way, you think, okay, this is what's really going to change the market. At the end of the day, a car is still a car, whether it's an EV or it's an ICE vehicle, it's still a car. It still gets you from point A to point B. Yes, one is better for, climate change than the other, but when you really narrow it down, I mean, they're both the same. Yeah, electric vehicles have, are a little bit faster, maybe, have some pros and cons in different areas, but that's not really where the technology's at when it comes to Tesla. Tesla has the greatest advantage because of their software, their tech, and their full self-driving. So when you look at this and you think, okay, where could this be in 5 years or 10 years? If you get semi-trucks out there who don't need drivers, unfortunately, that's going to be a lot of lost jobs for that industry. But think about how much more efficient that industry is going to be when you don't have to have drivers in those vehicles. They could ship as much as they want, anywhere they want, in trucks, that are driving themselves, basically. Like, this is where the power of that could be, right? So not only are we tapping into kind of the consumer industry of driving, but we're also tapping into the commercial sector as well. And this could spread into other things such as, I know, for instance, they've had some stuff in solar roofs. They've had some interest in HVAC stuff. They've had interest in energy storage, like with their Powerwall. So this does translate into many different industries. And another one I should add is insurance, right? they figured out, hey, we know how much this car costs to fix. They might open up their own insurance, which they could, continue to scale that. So there's multiple different avenues where Tesla could make some money and actually go into this. Now, when I look at this, I think this is where Tesla really has the power to become easily $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion company in the next 5 to 10 years. So when you look at it like this, it's like, hey, should you sell out now? Maybe hope to buy back in later? Okay, sure. You can maybe pick up a quick profit if you do that. But when you really look at it, say they're at a $600 billion market cap, I think like 650 or something. If they're at 650 billion right now, there's a good chance, in 5 or 10 years, yeah, that's a long time, but there's a good chance they could be 1 trillion, 2 trillion, maybe even $2.5, $3 trillion of a market cap if they're able to pull this stuff off and able to execute. So that $600 share price could be easily another, 2,000, 3,000, 3,500 or something like that. So it is possible. I do think that there's a fair amount of possibility that could happen. And I think it's something that we all have to take into account, that there is a chance that could happen. It might be 5 years, might be 10 years, might be 20 years, right? But it does look like it could possibly happen. I don't know that Tesla's going to double, in the next year or two. I don't think that's going to happen, but looking long term, I think they've got a lot of growth potential. And so that's one reason why for my shares, oh man, it's so tempting to kind of sell out of them when you see such a high profit margin or, such a big gain on those shares. But at the same time, looking at this and it's kind of like, hey, what are the chances if I just held on to this that it would double again in the next couple of years? Like let's say 3 to 5 years. I think that's possible. I really do. I think that's possible in the next 3 to 5 years, especially with the stock like Tesla that has so much hype around it. I totally think that's possible. So let's bring it kind of full circle and bring it back to short term. Where is Tesla going to go in the short term? Well, at the end of Friday's trading session, that's going to be kind of the determining factor of where the price needs to be at for all of these index funds and the benchmark funds as to where they need to buy the stock at in order to have it continue matching the S&P 500, right? That's when the weighting is going to happen. And I think that they're estimating right now that it could be somewhere between 1.5 to 2% of the total S&P 500 weighting, which is absolutely phenomenal. That's a crazy number when you actually think about it. It's the 500 biggest companies, and just one company is going to control 1.5 to 2% of that total index. That's pretty crazy. Because of this, I do think there is a pretty big chance that it's going to run up at least close to $700, probably even a little bit higher than $700. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in that 710, 715, 720 range, maybe even up to 750. I mean, who knows? Monday's going to be absolutely crazy for this stock, and I do think that it could easily be in that like 700 to 750 range. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback. I think after this hype wears off and everything kind of goes away, I think there could be a big pullback. The way that I want to kind of document this is actually to take a look at what happened after the 5-for-1 stock split was announced and what happened with the stock there. So jumping back over here to the Webull platform, which by the way, if you haven't gotten your free stocks, use the link down in the description to get those free stocks. Looking at what happened to Tesla and the share price, on August 11th is when they announced the 5-for-1 split. This is after the split adjusted basis, looking at these numbers, but we can see here that we had a share price of roughly $275, and during the roughly 3 weeks that it had before it actually started trading on that split adjusted basis, it ran all the way up to almost $500. This means it almost doubled just based on this fact that ultimately didn't even change anything about the company. All they did was take one share and split it into 5 different shares. It didn't change the valuation. It didn't change how the company works or the fundamentals. It literally did nothing. It was just hype and news that, hey, this share price was going to become much more affordable for people to afford, and that's basically it, right? It just kind of brought everything down. But during that run up, it almost doubled, and then you saw this huge pullback from about $500 all the way back down to about $330. This is absolutely crazy to see that type of run and then that type of a pullback. Now, I want to kind of compare it to the S&P 500. I'm not saying that it's the exact same. I'm not saying that this inclusion into the S&P 500 doesn't change anything, because it does. Being included in the S&P 500 gives you massive benefits. It gives you a lot more security. It gives you a name behind you. It gives you a lot of consistency in the market, right? Because you've got all these index funds, all these benchmarked funds who are holding your shares and are kind of taking them out of circulation almost, because they're not going to be trading them other than when the weighting changes, right? So they're going to be, kind of trading them, but it's not like they're selling off massive portions or buying massive portions like they will be going into this. But at the end of the day, this doesn't change the fundamentals of the company. It doesn't change how the company operates. It doesn't really change anything with the company itself. It doesn't, this isn't like earnings reports where they say, hey, this is how much money we made, or this is how many vehicles we delivered. This is really just saying, look, you're going to be included in this new index, which is going to help the index. It's going to help the market, and it's going to change, how the share price kind of reacts to these different things, right? Because it's going to be a lot more stable. But at the end of the day, nothing with the company is really changing all that much. So seeing this run up from $400 to $655 as of today, let's say it goes up to $700. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback. I don't think it's going to pull back as much as it did over here from 500 down to 330, but going from like 400 to, let's say it gets up to 700, I wouldn't be surprised to see this pull back under 600. I think it could pull back somewhere in that 525 to 575 range. I do think it will take a little bit of time. I don't know if it's going to be right after the S&P 500 inclusion, going into Christmas next week. I don't know if it'll be that week after Christmas. It might not even be until the middle of January, because we've got Q4 deliveries that will be reported then as well. And I do think that I'm expecting Tesla to hit their numbers and report great numbers, but I don't know that will actually affect the stock all that much. I'm not sure if it'll go up or down. I think it's going to kind of be moot news, basically. So, I don't know if the pullback will happen right away, but after all of this hype wears off, I would not be surprised to see it pull back to somewhere in that mid 500 range, just based on kind of what I'm seeing here today. Because other than the stability, other than some of the benefits that you get from being in the S&P 500, this doesn't change their revenue. It doesn't change their financials. It doesn't change, a lot of things about the company or how it operates, on a large scale. Yeah, there might be some indirect or even direct, correlation there that you can make, but for a large portion of it, it doesn't change anything. So that's why I do think that there could be a pullback. If it's trading here mostly flat around that 400, like high 300 to like 425, 450 range, and seeing that nothing has really changed with the company as far as like deliveries or revenue or anything like that, barring what we see for Q4, I wouldn't be surprised to see it pull back somewhere in that, like I said, mid 500 mark. So anyways, guys, I know this video covered a lot. This is kind of just my thoughts. I know there's going to be some people out there who agree with me. I know there's going to be people out there who want to disagree with me and say, hey, you got this wrong, got that wrong. I totally get it. I'm not I'm not the perfect person for Tesla analysis. I won't pretend like I am. But this is something I've been following for the last year or so, and have been really interested in kind of where this company is going because of everything that it has going on and all of the hype behind it. So I will say that, look, there's going to be people out there who, feel free to share your thoughts with me. Share your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear where I, went wrong or missed something, or maybe you want to share your opinion or whatever. I'm open to that. I'm not going to sit here with an ego and say that I know everything, that I'm 100% correct. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. And of course, this isn't financial advice or anything like that. So take it as, with a grain of salt. And yeah, anyways, all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate the support. Give me a thumbs up here on the video. Helps me out massively with the YouTube algorithm. Maybe share this with a friend or family member if you liked what I saw, or if you liked what I said, and think a friend or a family member might benefit from it as well. Share it with them. I'd really appreciate that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And with all of that being said, I will catch you in the next one.